Full book review of Speak. Last time on my full book summary, I literally told you about all the juicy details about Speak. Except I lied. I didn't tell you all the juicy details. You have to read a book for that. I'm not here to read a book for you. But here we go. I want to tell you about Speak. Speak was published in 1999, and according to the author, she started writing Speak ambiguously in 1996, meaning that it's been about 30 years since Speak was written, exactly 26 years since it was published, and exactly 29 years since it was being written. It's been 30 years since Speak existed. But Speak itself is one of the most interesting books that I've ever read. Teenagers or little kids apparently don't like to read books, according to a publisher that published Speak. But I found out, and LAURIE HALSE found out, and I know this from my own experience, that teenagers don't like to read old, boring books. They don't like to read Charles Dickens. That's like several hundred years ago. That's irrelevant to them. It's not relevant to them at all. They like books that are relevant to them. Those books were popular and were called classics because it was relevant at that time. And apparently those stories are pretty fun to read right now as well too. But we aren't living in, like, say, the 18th or 19th century anymore. We're living in the 20th century, or at least the early 21st century. The late 20th century and the early 21st century have went ahead and showed us several masterpieces and several advancements like no one from 50 years ago could have ever imagined. My mom never imagined cell phones could ever exist. Except cell phones did exist during her time. She never imagined the iPhone would exist. But regardless, Speak itself has went ahead and gained its reputation as one of the most influential books of all time, and one of the most fun books to read as well too. It's not exactly fun, as in the sense of, hey, this is a pretty funny kind of fun, but more in the sense of it's engaging. It's very engaging. It's enthralling, and it can capture the moment perfectly. It has the exact tone of a high school student, or at least an American high school student. And I can understand that. I can understand why people like to read this. Silence is golden. That's something that we're told. But here we take it to another level. Because of this trauma that you have, because of this Melinda's PTSD, she finally went ahead and tried to skip the pain entirely. She didn't even want to think about it, because apparently she can remember it clearly herself. But when she finally did remember it, and when she could finally think about it and form words about it in her mind, she finally realized that she had to speak out. She had to heal. She couldn't just leave the ice in the freezer and just forget about it. She had to let it melt and evaporate so that it was gone. She had to let the pains go away. And as soon as she let the ice melt, she started sawing, and she started being able to speak out. She started speaking out against teachers, and she started to be able to reveal her quick wit. The once cold and condescending person was finally able to go ahead and speak out and stand up for herself. That's the whole point of Speak. In my opinion, Speak is worth reading because of all the things that it does. It shares a rape story. It shares healing. It shares how you coped with it, and it shares what you should do to cope with it. And remember, this is long before #MeToo was a thing. And even then, people were still amazing. How mature the story is, and how frequent, and how it feels like it could happen anywhere, anytime, and how it could happen to anyone. It's just amazing. It makes you feel like this could really happen to you, and this is what you should do, and this is what you should learn. It's like a little prepping manual, except in the form of a really happy and engaging story. So whatever happens when you read Speak, I want you to speak. At least I spoke to myself about all the bad things that have ever happened. I will have no idea what your guys' reactions are when you read Speak, but I highly recommend this book. 50 China points. Or I suppose American points. 100 American points. That's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will never have to experience something like Speak yourself. But if you do, well, good luck. Is #MeToo still a thing? Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.